Today on The Social, Prime Minister Mark Carney leads the Liberals to a fourth-term victory. We dive into how last night's historic vote shakes up the House of Commons. And is the movie theater model dead? Why Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos says Hollywood needs to adapt to survive. Then, lake life is calling. We're trying out flexible and flavorful recipes that'll make a big splash and keep you dockside rather than stuck at the stove. Plus, twisted secrets, a stolen identity, and the dark side of influencer culture. Leanne Zhang talks about her darkly funny new thriller. It all starts now on The Social.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Joining us on the panel, TV host and writer Teddy Wilson is back today.
Hi. Hello. Hello.
Okay, everybody, so it is one of the biggest political turnarounds in Canadian history. Mark Carney has led the Liberal Party to a fourth consecutive term, keeping his job as Prime Minister.
No matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
All right, so the Conservatives ended up picking up 25 seats, but leader Pierre Poilievre, he actually lost the seat in his own Ottawa area riding. And Jagmeet Singh also lost his seat out in Burnaby, BC. And he has now announced he is stepping down as the leader of the NDP. His party is actually projected to lose its party status. They failed to meet the threshold of 12 seats or more. So, your takeaways, panel, from last night's big election.
I am such a political nerd. Cynthia loves it when I highlight stuff. So many highlights. And so much to talk about. There's so many different places to go. First off, in my opinion, I think a lot of folks might agree that Trump was the single biggest factor in this election, which is fascinating because historically, as we all know in Canada, foreign policy issues, even if that's to do with Canada-U.S. relations, typically doesn't move the needle a lot in terms of voter support, let alone the ultimate outcome of an election. So just the fact that he was such an ominous specter during this campaign is remarkable historically. It'll be fascinating to see what voter turnout is. Advanced polls were the highest ever and like a 20+% increase over the previous election. And then just starting with the Conservatives very quickly. It's interestingly because they didn't win the ultimate prize. They didn't form government, but they got very close. Poilievre lost his riding, as you said, but by every other metric, this was a very successful campaign for them. They increased their share of the seats in the House of Commons. They got more of the popular vote, but obviously by a few very key metrics, it wasn't as successful. So the question is why? And I think, in my opinion, it's because they made everything during this initial ascent before Justin Trudeau resigned. It was all about Justin Trudeau and the carbon tax. Well, Trudeau left. He was the lightning rod, and the carbon tax kind of left. And so what did they have to run on? So everybody else was like, oh, you know, you weren't really talking about his team. You were talking about him, and he's gone.
Was it a bit of a one-trick pony or just one-issue campaign?
I guess a little bit, and I think ultimately some people were turned off by his leadership style and maybe his personality. I've been thinking, what if Erin O'Toole was still the leader? I'm not sure, though, that Erin O'Toole would have ignited people in the way that Poilievre and his style did in these last few years, but then ultimately
I think people either liked him or they were turned off by him.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. Now he won't be the leader of the official opposition in the House of Commons. He'll be the leader of, like they call it, the extra parliamentary Conservative Party. Somebody else will actually sit as the leader of the official opposition from his party in the House. And I think in the next year or so, they'll probably parachute him into a by-election. But fascinating story for the Conservatives, because a couple of big losses, but overall they improved their fortunes. So it's such a mixed story.
I mean, they say that Canadian politics are boring. We've said it before. This was not a boring election at all. It was not. It was really, I mean, I will say this, as we know, was a change election. I think the question remains to be seen, like, was this change? We got the same party, but we have a different leader. And as you say, I think 6 months ago, Pierre had this, the Conservatives had this in the bag. So the only two things that changed is that Justin Trudeau left, and of course, the specter of Trump came in. And I think then, so Canadians chose, but they chose like really quite close together. This was not a hands-down win. That is very close. So I think that the Conservatives definitely did make some gains. And I think what I can't stop thinking about now is the job that Mark Carney has ahead of him. Because when you look at the map that's out there that was coming up on a lot of news feeds yesterday, there was so much blue, particularly across the western area of this country. And then, you know, like there's pockets of blue also in the east that popped up, which was a change as well. And then a lot of red in the middle. Pretty much exactly what it is, a half and half situation. So how do you govern for everyone, including those people who are identified as NDP, who actually strategically voted Liberal this time around? How do you make sure that all of their voices are heard? He's got quite a duty ahead of him.
It is pretty wild. When you think back too to like December, early January, the Tories were up by like over 20 points. There was talk about the Liberals even retaining party status. Like that was actually a conversation. What a change.
We did not have this on our bingo card.
Do not count your chickens before they hatch. Isn't that the warning? And I think the Conservatives counted their chickens, because I think if you spoke to anybody back in December and said, if there's an election, who do you think is going to win? Everybody would have been like, it's going to be Pierre Poilievre. But then, of course, Donald Trump, as everybody has mentioned, comes in and changes the whole landscape. And Pierre's biggest problem was that he hitched his wagon to the wrong horse. And as soon as everybody got a taste of what Donald Trump is doing to the Americans and internationally to everybody else, we were all like, oh, no, we don't want that here. And that changed the entire election. I was not surprised by the outcome, even though it was close. I think that, you know what, no one would have seen this coming. Absolutely nobody. So to me, it's like, I think the Conservatives have to go back and be like, we have to be stronger about our policies. We cannot just rest on hating somebody and having a campaign about hating Trudeau, because that's what they did for years, like 2 years. You actually have to tell people what you're going to do, because when it comes down to it, that's what matters to people. They want to hear that you're going to take care of them. And I don't think people heard that. They just heard all of this rhetoric.
I mean, at least I will say I was very happy with his concession speech. Like Poilievre was a class act.
Absolutely.
And he said he didn't contest the results, and he didn't add more flame, which when we've seen our leaders, like what Trump has done, is inflame those kinds of divisiveness.
But don't you think he's learned his lesson not to follow in Trump's footsteps?
I hope so, but I hope we all learn that lesson now today.
We are a country divided. Whatever way you actually voted. First of all, can we talk about voter turnout? Because preliminary numbers say 67% voter turnout. I actually thought we were going to hit what some people were predicting, which was 75% voter turnout.
I thought it was going to be a historic high.
I thought it was going to be historic. If 67% holds, that means 33% of y'all didn't vote. And I'm sorry, this was the most consequential election of our lifetime. A third of you have lost your right to complain, as far as I'm concerned. So I would like to turn this on the electorate.
Do you believe in mandatory voting, by the way?
I believe in the opt-out program, meaning we should all be in, and if you don't want to vote, you should have to opt out. I do believe in that, but that's for another conversation. The job that Carney has is monumental. I do believe one of the many reasons why he was so successful is because he's a money guy, he's an economist, right? And he's done big things. His CV is amazing. He's also never been in politics before. Can we talk about how historic it is for this guy? But he also has to come in, and he's never governed before. And he's never governed where there's kind of a left and a right. There is a rural and a city. There is an east and a west. Alberta is not happy today.
No.
Alberta's not happy today. And he's from Alberta.
And he cannot govern in a top-down way, just given the makeup of the House of the legislature now. And I think you're right. He really needs to reach out to the West, especially Alberta and Saskatchewan, because there are a lot of folks there who do really feel alienated. And I mean, you know, we're sitting at a studio here in Toronto, but a lot of them have some really solid points, and there are points based in policy. And I think he really needs to do a very active and really solid job of reaching out to them.
Here's the thing. People are saying, because we're in a minority situation, what is this going to mean? How long is he going to be allowed to govern for before somebody decides we should be trying to bring down the government with another no confidence vote? On behalf behalf of some of us, maybe most of us, maybe all of us, I don't want to see another election for a while.
No.
Yeah.
So please do not do that. Let the man govern. And number two, when I look at the current electorate, young people 18 to 35 overwhelmingly voted conservative. The boomers and older, they overwhelmingly voted liberal. And when we take a look at what is next, the next 2 years, the next 4 years, if they let him govern that long, the future of this country is moving right.
Yeah.
So I would like to see how this government is going to be nimble to be able to bring everybody under his
Well, and
tent.
you say the future of the country, especially with young people, it is astounding that the Conservatives got so much support amongst younger voters, very unprecedented in the last 20 years.
They call
certainly.
them young, broke, and unwoke.
Young, broke, there you go.
Not my words, not my words.
But another big what's next is for the NDP, right? Like Jagmeet has resigned as party leader. They've lost their official party status. And, you know, I think of that Semisonic song from the late 90s, Closing Time. Closing Time. Sorry about that. And the next line is every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Obviously, this was a very, very disappointing election for the NDP and for Jagmeet Singh as the leader. He's no longer the leader. But the next line of that song is every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. So this is a chance for them to rebuild, to recalibrate, because the fact that they lost so many, especially working class, blue collar votes from the NDP went to the Conservatives is wild to me. That is an absolutely astounding strand of this narrative. The fact that they were able to get a lot of, especially unionized voters, to vote Tory blows my mind.
Maybe you should run for leader of the NDP.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Just put it out there.
Thanks. You're too kind to me. Nobody wants this.
So that is election talk done for now, everybody. For now. On the other side of the break, is the movie theater dead?
No.
Well, it turns out Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos thinks so. So we're going to weigh in on his thoughts and the future of cinema after this.
Tomorrow on The Social, drag superstar Priyanka joins us to chat about reviving restaurants in her new Crave series, Drag Brunch Saved My Life. This week on The Social, a workout for your face, the fitness trend that could become your new beauty secret.
If you find yourself yelling at the television screen, just stop doing that. Pick up your device, Pick up your device and have your voice heard online instead. Connect with us on social media.
Okay, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos says the movie theater model is outdated. In conversation with Time Magazine's editor-in-chief, he said consumers like to watch movies at home and that most of the country cannot, quote, walk to a multiplex. So do we think that movie theaters are dead or dying?
This guy's
Teddy.
ridiculous.
I'm so mad.
Good.
I got excited about politics, but this I get even. I can't believe I share a first name with this joker, with Ted. Unless Ted wants to give me my own series one day, in which case I'm a big fan.
I know you love him.
Love that guy.
You love him.
that guy. He is a Theodore, not an Edward. I looked it up. I can't stand this argument that movie theaters are dead. This is ridiculous. Movies will never, ever be the same if you watch them at home. Even if you have your perfect home theater with your perfect little environment where nothing can disturb you in your little bubble, it's never going to be the same. And if you watch a movie at home, that's great. More power to you. But it's not the same as going to a movie theater. A film is a shared experience.
Yeah.
It's meant to be shared with people around you. And also just from a technical perspective, movies, like plays, to me are fascinating because you're watching somebody's vision or a group of people's visions, writers, directors, producers, and they present it to you. And you sit there and you all experience the same thing. And you can't break up the narrative. Like if you get up to go to the bathroom, you miss stuff. So you're incentivized to sit there, watch the whole thing in the story. The second you break it up, that changes the story because you go out, you think of other things, right? Books, you can do that, and books are a different storytelling medium. But I love that film, you sit there and you're seeing somebody's vision.
Immersive.
Absolutely, and if you're doing it at home and you're looking on your phone or you're getting up to get some Cheetos
exactly
or have a pee-pee, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I
I'm
gotta tell you
sorry,
something.
it changes it.
You know,
changes it.
I I haven't been to the theater a whole lot since the pandemic, and I think the pandemic changed the experience for a lot of people and for good reason.
Yes, fair.
The last several times I was in the theater, it was the Taylor Swift Eras tour.
Oh, it was good.
And it was Barbie Mania during
good.
the Barbie film.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Try
I went
watching
recently.
that at home. Try watching Barbie at home.
I'll tell you something. The last time I was at a theater, I hated it.
Why?
Why though?
It was
Did somebody
smelly.
Oh, come on.
The floors were sticky.
Oh, Melissa.
If I am going to be in a theater in the dark, I'd rather do that in my pajamas at home in my bed.
See, and I'm the opposite.
So,
I'm the opposite.
thank you, ma'am. You and I can do it
If
together.
my feet aren't
Thank
sticking
you.
to the floor, am I even
No.
watching a movie? Like, I'm like,
No.
I love that experience. And like you said, I like the community. Listen, we're always talking about the epidemic of loneliness. And here we have a man
Girl,
encouraging
I'm in the
people.
club. I ain't alone.
But a lot of people,
I am in the
I know,
club.
but wait a second. A lot of people are not in the club. A lot of people, when it comes to going to movies, like I just saw Sinners. If you guys haven't seen it, love it. I would not want to see that movie looking at it on my phone or by myself. It was so much more fun to be in a room with a bunch of people. We were all scared. We were all jumping at the same same thing that was happening on the big screen. He also makes a really weird argument that people can't walk to their cinema.
Yeah.
Sir, that's not a deterrent. People are flying to other countries to watch concerts.
Yes.
I don't think we need to have our cinema walking distance in order for us to see a movie. So I'm like, I understand that you're looking out for your business model because it's working out for you right now. But to tell people that they shouldn't also go to the movies, to me, is like, we're not buying it. You can't tell us how to watch
No, he's not saying we don't go to the movies. He's saying the consumer has changed, and that the movie theaters are not changing to meet the moment.
I don't
He
think
says
that's
we've
true.
changed.
I don't think that that's
But look at the
necessarily
box
true.
office for these top movies. It's still happening.
And what a surprise as somebody whose business is predicated on people not going to the theaters doesn't think the theater experience is a thing anymore.
Sure.
People
Big
can't-
surprise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, these big conglomerates, like in so many industries, including the one that you're watching right now, they've gobbled up smaller mom and pop shops, and then the little guy can no longer survive anymore. There was a time when this worked out quite well for everyone. There was like a little theater on every corner. There's still one in my neighborhood, which is a small one from the yesteryear, and it does just fine. I think that the problem is he's looking at it through this lens of these big conglomerations, like that's the only experience that people want to have. And I think that that's not necessarily true. There's room for both. There's room to have your own home experience, depending on the mood that you're in, and these experiences that are universal and together.
And guess what? In life, there's little distractions. There's odd smells. There's your feet. Like, that's life. That's being out in the world and experiencing the world as opposed to in our own little home fortresses where we have everything. Get out there. Experience things.
I'm out there at the concerts.
All right. Teddy, I'm going to make you the leader of the NDP party and also the president of all moviegoers. Is that?
I'll take the second one.
Okay, all right. So let's go to our next one. Balenciaga's naked shoe. Somehow, these managed to cling to your big toe, but don't try to get away without a pet. No, this is already oohing. All right. I don't even know if I should ask the question, but would you bear it all in these naked shoes? Teddy?
I love them.
You do?
I love them. I think they're great. I'm also notoriously frugal, so I would pay $15 max for these things. I don't like spending money on
You're
anything.
only getting a little bit of shoe anyway.
Yeah, you're only getting the one thing. I think it's great. I wear sandals all the time. Actually, it's funny because, like, even in the winter, I keep a pair of sandals in the car because I'll get in the car, take off my shoes and socks, and drive in my sandals.
What?
Get to my destination and then put my shoes back on. Because I love wearing sandals. I love having my feet, again, out in the world, experiencing things. So I think these are great. I would get them for $15.
So these are your driving shoes is what you're telling us?
Drive and walking everywhere, Andrea.
Okay, I got it.
Listen, what if we told you they were about $450
I'm
US?
I'm out.
Because that's, I think, ish.
I didn't even pay that much for my car.
Yeah, I mean, I could make, my daughter could probably make something for $15 that looked 1,000 times better than this. I'll
If
tell you
Marquesa
something.
made them for me, I would proudly wear them.
1,000%, yeah. Here's the thing. Generally speaking, most of our feet aren't pretty. I don't want to be looking at your feet like that.
Speak for yourself.
I already have trouble with flip-flops and stuff. And speaking of flip-flops, just the same with this shoe. If you had to run for your life,
Oh, yeah.
you're dead. I look at these shoes and I'm like, you're gonna lose your shoes if you're trying to run for the boss.
We wear heels.
You know?
We're not doing well here.
I mean,
either.
I stopped wearing heels.
No, but if things get real, you have to take those off and you have to run with them in your hands like this away from that person. You're not running.
And also dirt.
And
the streets are disgusting.
Oh,
so,
back to this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you say the feet are ugly, but like there's whole legions of foot fetishists out there who will disagree with you, and they love these shoes. I just don't understand how it's actually hanging on. And don't you imagine that every step you take is going to do that little fart noise?
Oh!
Yeah, right? feel like that's
There's nothing worse than a fart noise in that shoe. No, I like them. They're fun. I always have my pedicures done, so I'm okay with it. And I have confidence in my feet. They're not the best. Don't zoom in on them. But I would do it. It's fashion. It's fun. I wouldn't spend that kind of money on it because I know 2 years from now I'm not wearing those shoes.
Yeah.
But for funsies, for sure. You know what? Someone's gonna remake those. They're gonna be on some website anytime.
It's true. It's true. They're trying to disrupt the what do you call those? Just the regular flip-flop market.
Oh yeah, the thingies with the thingies like that. Yeah. Where that goes in between your
You're
toesies.
driving shoes.
You're driving shoes.
You're driving shoes.
Teddy's driving shoes.
Oh, I love it. Okay, time for another break here on the show. And then, have you ever been embarrassed by your partner's behavior in public? So what to do when you have very different social styles, we're going to share after this. Back. All right, so Slate has a series about what couples fight about, and a common issue is the way that someone behaves in public. So, for example, if one person likes to argue with others, the other person, though, is more of a pacifist, not confrontational that way. So does your partner's social style bother you, Sin?
It does not bother me. Jason is an introvert. Like, he's an extreme, I would say, kind of introvert. But when he does speak, he usually chooses his words very carefully and thoughtfully, and I'm always kind of inspired by him. I actually aspire to be more like him, but I'm sure I have embarrassed him a number of times. I think we all, in the line of work that we do, we're a bit of blabbermouths, and I am definitely that way when I go to events and things like that. If I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of people, I don't like small talk, so I will often, like, throw a grenade into the conversation.
I've seen her do that.
Like intentional?
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I was once at a wedding. This was in Los Angeles with a bunch of people I didn't know, and I decided I wanted to talk about circumcision, and Jason was so
as you do
upset with me afterwards. But listen, I think overall he loves me. I always keep things
I think he
interesting.
does.
Yeah.
He does.
He loves me.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Yeah. Anyway, keep things exciting.
Circumcision. What did the people at the table say?
It's for another discussion.
Okay. Wow. You know, it's really funny because you and Jason are very opposite in many ways. I see where you're similar, obviously, but you're very dissimilar in public situations.
Yes.
And people would think that because of our job, we do like to talk a lot, or we don't like awkward silences. We feel the need to always fill it. And people also expect us to talk a lot because of our job. They'll look at us and say, well, what do you think? I'm like, I share a lot of my opinions enough already. You don't need to hear from me. So people would think that maybe Ryan is more like a Jason. But Ryan is my secret weapon. He is actually way better in social situations than I am.
Really? Yeah.
And people, I think most of my friends.
I think that's true.
I think Ryan is more popular in social situations than I am.
Really? You're really good.
Oh, no, but he's really good. He's really good. And
Total
so
dreamboat, too, I might
Oh,
add.
thanks. Thanks for that.
As is Jason. These guys
But
are
Ryan,
lookers.
what he has the art of that I don't have is Ryan has humor. I'm not a funny person.
That's not true.
And Ryan, my daughter tells me every day, Mom, that was not funny.
You're
But
funny.
Ryan has the art of a very well-placed joke that I wish to be able to do that. Sometimes they're inappropriate. I'm sorry, friends.
That's
but
okay. Well,
overall,
look
he's
at
better.
Cynthia. She's talking about it.
She's throwing circumcision off the table.
Right. That's right.
He's not doing that.
right after the
You and Renee.
Yeah. My partner is fantastic. She's probably watching. Hi. We're really lucky. Like we don't fight a lot. But one of the only things where we're very different is how we comport ourselves when we're out. And it will not shock you to know that if we're out, even at like a romantic dinner for two, I want to engage with everybody around all the time, totally open to it. And she, on the other hand, is a normal person who sometimes just wants to like have a moment. And so we're very, very different in that regard. And it's pretty wild. And we've had the odd kind of headbutt about that, which is interesting. But then outside of that, I think I'm more of an introvert than she is because of what we do for a living, and because when I'm out, and I'm out a lot, as we talked about, going to movies, doing things, I love talking to people, but then I really need my alone time in a way that I don't know if she does. And so I think it's interesting because when we're out, we're different, but then when we're on our own, we need that time differently.
Do you get a talking to before you go out sometimes?
No, but I just know, and like she's like I'm abnormal, she's the normal one in this context, and I know, and like she's cool with it, or if like somebody ever says, hey, are you that little guy from the TV thing? She's incredibly cool about that, which I'm very thankful for. But no, it's just like, would you want to be out to dinner with your partner? And they're like looking to talk to the next table. It's like, can we just eat our pancakes? You know?
No, listen, I see nothing wrong with that. That's exactly the way my parents were. And when I was younger, I think I was like, Mom, how do you know all these people? Why are you talking to everybody? And now I'm that person. I am the person who's talking to everybody. And I love that. And most times the people that I've dated have been quieter. And I think by design, because I do a lot of talking, I use a lot of words, and they're fine with it. They actually kind of, I think we're drawn to each other so that there's no fighting. It's like, listen, they know I'm going to sit there and talk to everybody, get everybody's name, get all the tea, and they just sit back and they just chill. And then they give me their assessment of the table because I'm too busy talking to pick up on all the little energies that are going on.
Good one.
But you know what? I'm also curious. I would like to date someone who's a big extrovert just to see what that dynamic is like, right? Just to see if I'd be like, I think he needs to shut up.
Yeah.
Or if I'd be like, I'm okay with it. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm really curious.
All the extroverts apply.
Yes.
Apply.
Yes.
Teddy.
Scan that QR code. Come on down.
We need that.
Scan it.
Came up with an idea.
Oh, ready, baby.
Oh my God, you just gave me an idea. Okay, we'll talk on break. Teddy Wilson, for all your political and movie prowess, we love having you here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Up next, everybody, simple and delicious cottage recipes as the season heats up. We'll be back right after this.
This year, the Met Gala's giving us super fine style, tailored just for you. From our favorite fashion moments on the world's hottest stars,
Her looks, the hair, the face, the pose.
I mean, I obviously co-signed that choice.
It's literally a work of art.
to the riskiest looks on the steps.
Maybe that was done on purpose, just to look a little bit more avant-garde.
I didn't want to say that. I'm so glad you did.
I did. Isn't there rumors that Anna Wintour sort of stepped in? Because it could have gone sideways.
RSVP to fashion's biggest night. Celebrate the Met Gala with us, May 6th on The Social.
Welcome back. The weather is finally warming up, and you know what that means. Cottage season is here. And there's nothing like unwinding on the dock with your favorite people, savoring great conversation, and even better food.
And let's face it, cooking can sometimes get in the way of all that well-earned downtime. And our next guest gets it, and she's created simple, stress-free recipes so you can spend less time in the kitchen and more time relaxing. Please welcome the author of the Essential Cottage Cookbook, my name twin, Andrea Bain. Nice to see you, Andrea.
Nice to be here.
Good to have you here. All right, so let's start with the most important thing when it comes to cottage cooking, and that is meal planning. What tips do you have for us?
Okay, so it depends who's going, right? Because we know if there's a bunch of girls heading out for the weekend, we've got it all covered. You're bringing wine.
That's right.
There's a never-ending board of charcuterie.
That's mine.
Right, it's like a group text. It's quite easy. We've got it all covered. But if you have a bunch of families going, you might consider creating like a spreadsheet. I know it sounds like it's a lot of work, but it actually in the end makes things easier. So list all the meals that you have, then have people populate them. You know what I mean? You're gonna bring breakfast, you're gonna do lunch, and then if you have kids with like allergies or something, you might wanna note that as well. And then you're ready to go, and it's like, things are a lot easier and laid back when you get there.
Okay, I love this idea.
That's a smart thing to do.
I feel like breakfast can be one of the trickiest meals to cook for a group. So you have a suggestion for sheet pan eggs. Tell us about this.
Yeah, this is fun because, you know, as someone at the cottage, I want to get up and go enjoy the outdoors. And if I have people coming up, I want to do something that takes a little bit of time, minimal ingredients, but everyone can eat. So this is a Western sheet pan omelet.
Can we dig in, Andrea?
You can absolutely dig in.
Okay.
And the beautiful thing about the sheet pan omelet is that you can customize it. So this one is a Western, obviously, but you could do half vegetarian, right? You can do a build your own breakfast bar, so everyone just wakes up and eats as they come into the kitchen, and has a great meal so they can enjoy the rest of the day.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
This is so delicious. All right, so sheet pan meals seem like such a great idea. Any suggestions for dinner?
Yeah, actually, there's in my Make It and Take It chapter, I do a sheet pan chorizo and shrimp. And so you put everything, it's really delicious. It's got corn, it's got peppers, it's got chorizo, which brings that smoky garlic flavor. You basically prep it at home, put it in a sealable bag, pop it in your cooler, then you go to the cottage. And then when you get there, you literally dump it out on your sheet pan, bake it, and everyone's happy in bed.
I love
Great
this.
idea. Love that.
And the other thing I love about this is the fact that, like, we know cottage kitchens often are limited in the amount of pans and pots spots that they have. So you say we can actually use many things as double duty tools. So talk about some of your favorite kitchen utensils you use.
Yeah, so this is definitely the time to bring out that inner MacGyver, right? So if you want to double duty things, I love a muffin tin, for instance. A muffin tin, if you want to make ice, you can make ice cubes in there. You can use it for little snacks, for little fingers. You can put like, you know, your condiments in there and put that out there so people can have condiments. That's a great one. Mason jars, we always know there's a mason jar, you know, everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Not only is it good for glassware, I'm not gonna lie, I have lots of mason jars that I use for glassware all the time.
Yeah.
But because they're like 1 cup and 2 cup increments, you can use them as measuring utensils, you know, instead of measuring cups. Or you can use it to shake up a salad dressing or a sauce. And so like there's lots of different things, you know, you just have to use your imagination.
Yeah,
great.
good stuff. All right, so next up you have a beautiful, beautiful seasonal salad. Talk to us about this one.
This salad, this is one of my favorites. So this is really says spring to me. It's a smoked fish and asparagus salad with a pickled rhubarb vinaigrette.
That's good.
And the nice thing about this is that rhubarb and asparagus grow together, so they go together. And so we've pickled that rhubarb. It brings a little bit of brightness and freshness, and then it has like a creamy dressing on it. Honestly,
really
it's like,
good.
you know, 3-4 ingredients, and it's good amount of protein, good veg, all the things I love.
And it's also super delicious.
Yeah,
It's
thank
super
you.
tasty. All right, so we love a good hack. And since you had such great ones for kitchen tools, do you have any cottage cooking hacks that you can share with us?
Okay, so one of my pet peeves is going somewhere and the barbecue is like totally messy.
Yeah.
And then often you'll see the thing that cleans it and it's also grimy and you don't want to use it.
Always.
So if you use aluminum foil and you just ball it up into a little ball and then you go to the barbecue, that works as a great cleaner. Just like super simple. Who knew? Yeah. Really easy. Another one, now I love making salads, but I like to make my salads from scratch. I don't always love buying a bag. And so you need a salad spinner for that. If you don't have a salad spinner, you're gonna grab a couple tea towels, set them out so that's like in a cross.
Okay.
Wash your lettuce, pop it inside. You're gonna turn it up and then you're gonna like really turn it up and you're gonna like, and then it's
Put
gonna
some
dry.
music on, just like,
Toss that
Okay, I
salad,
love it.
baby.
So good. Okay, so every cottage trip needs a meal made on the barbecue, as you mentioned. So you've brought some kebabs for us. What do you have here?
Okay, honestly, nothing says summer to me like jerk. Okay, so I've got a jerk marinade in the book, and this is a pork jerk with pineapple skewers, and it also has a little bit of prosciutto that's just laced throughout there. So you've got salty, sweet, spicy, fiery. You got that allspice, and you got that thyme. It's like really
It's so
delicious.
good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's got some kick to
I
it.
know, I'm like,
okay.
I'm worried about Cynthia because you're not good with the spice, but you like this one.
I really do
Yeah.
like this one, and I also really like the pineapple on
Yeah,
it.
it adds a little bit of sweetness to sort of tame that heat, so we love that.
That's
Okay.
perfect. That's a nice combination. All right, so packing food efficiently and keeping it chilled properly is very important.
It is.
Or part of the process because no one wants leaks or spills. So what tips do you have for packing food properly?
Okay, first of all, let's start with a cooler. Okay, so with the cooler, people like to like throw everything in, then put the ice on top, and what happens? It melts, and then everything gets soggy and gross.
Yep, been
So
there.
put your ice on the bottom. Put your heaviest items on top of that ice or frozen things because they're going to be heavier, and you want to keep them cold. If you have things that are in boxes, like frozen burgers and stuff, what I like to do is I actually like to get rid of that box. If you need the cooking instructions, cut it out. Right, because often things inside boxes are in bags. Keep the cooking instructions and put that in, and they can like fit into the little nooks and crannies.
Gotcha.
And don't put your beverages in your cooler. Put your beverages like, you know, in the car. Put them on ice when you get there.
Okay.
And it makes things a lot easier.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a campfire, am I right, at the cottage? You just
Yeah.
sit around that. You've actually brought a skillet dessert for the campfire.
So
I
mean, we all love s'mores and all those things, but I wanted to make something a little bit special. This is really easy. It's a plum and amaretti skillet. So we've got plums in the bottom of there with a little bit of thyme. Yeah. And then amaretti cookies are those Italian cookies that have that beautiful flavor. You just crush that with a little bit of butter, put it on top. As it cooks, the plums soften, that butter goes all the way down into the fruit.
Is gorgeous.
Yeah, so it's easy.
Y'all.
Minimal ingredients, maximal flavor.
Oh
Andrea,
my
I'm coming to your
gosh.
house.
Yes,
This is delicious.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. All right, so since we don't own cottages, what are your tips for being a good guest?
Yes, so this is important, yeah? So being a good guest, you want to make sure you pitch in when you're there. No one wants the guest
That's
that
right.
comes and does nothing. You'll be voted off the island immediately,
That's
right? But what I would say is, you know, bring a nice gift, offer to pitch in, you know, take the trash to town, explore the antique shop while you're there, or the bakery, and of course you want to take a great hostess gift. You know what that's going to be?
What's that
Like
gonna
the
be? Your
Essential Cottage Cookbook.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh my God. Andrea, thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
so
all of
much.
your wonderful tips and
Thanks, guys.
recipes. So delicious.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Good.
The Essential Cottage Cookbook is available now, and studio audience, guess what? It's your lucky day because you're all going home with your baby.
Okay, after the break, author Leanne Zhang tells us about tackling influencer culture in her new thriller, Julie Chan is Dead. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. So behind the followers and the brand deals and the luxury lifestyle, there is a dark side to influencer culture that our next guest explores in her new novel.
It's been described as a wacky, scary, and fun thriller called Julie Chan is Dead. And we're excited to have author Leanne Zhang on the show with us to talk all about it. Welcome to the show, Leanne.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so Leanne, the plot for your book is juicy. So a woman assumes the identity of her dead influencer twin sister and then discovers this dark underbelly of the social media world. So what inspired you to tackle, in a way, influencer culture?
Yeah, I was actually a skinfluencer myself back in high school. I had like awful cystic acne, so I started to review product, and for some reason people just followed me, even though I was literally a teenager. So I kind of got a behind-the-scenes peek of everything, kind of saw the dynamics between the different people there. And
like you would go to events sort of thing
Yes.
and get to know sort of the inside, like the way people acted towards each other?
Yeah, but not only that, it's like within the app, like you're on the feed, it's a perfect curated version of yourself, and a click away in the chats, you get to see kind of all that leak out, the pettiness, the envy, the privilege, it's all there. So I knew there's something juicy there.
There definitely is. So when you think back to your own days as an influencer, what do you think was the most bizarre aspect of your life at that time?
I think definitely the fact that I was literally like 15, 16 years old, contacted by these like big companies. They never asked for my age or anything. They're always just like, what's your address? We'll send you something. And I don't think they ever knew how young I was and like who they were really interacting with, you know? It was kind of behind the, like, there's like mask almost.
And
Yeah.
what did your family think of that at this time?
They loved it because my mom likes free stuff. So, you know, they were like, keep it coming. Yeah.
Okay, so this book is, it's designed to sort of keep you on the edge of your seat. So why did you feel like the thriller genre felt right for this story about influencers?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a duplicitous nature to social media. There's like the self you present on screen and then the real self that's behind the camera and everything. So that two world, that divide, naturally kind of gives rise to like secrets and like identity, and all that is like so necessary for a thriller. And just being a part of the community, I felt myself like shedding parts of myself and like my values in order to like gain followers. So I think there's an exploration of watching this main character, Julie, kind of become a different person, and there's a curiosity of like, who will she become by the end of the novel? That really keeps people going.
You also explored the idea of race in influencer culture as well. And so what is it that you wanted to contribute to that part of the conversation that I don't think a lot of people think about until you bring it up?
Yeah, I mean, being in the community, I do really recognize that there was a certain amount of privilege, especially in like the beauty space. Like you had to own multiple items to even review about them to start out with. Like if you have like one face wash and one moisturizer, you really can't start a blog. But for me, you know, I was a teenager, I didn't pay rent or anything, so any money I made from my part-time job, I could buy cosmetics. But for most people, they can't afford to do that. It has a lot of excess involved. So for that reason, I found a lot of the people that started to spring up were a certain amount of, you know, had a certain amount of privilege and were a part of certain groups, like a lot of white women, you know, in that type of space. So I just kind of felt that discrepancy, and I knew it's something that I had to tackle if I was going to write a book about this.
So recently there's been a lot of backlash, I feel like we talk about on the Showtime sometimes, against, towards influencers, the lavish lifestyles that they're often parading online. Do you think that we're starting to see the tides change when it comes to people's appetite for this type of content?
I mean, I feel like there's just so much oversaturation. Like you're going on your apps and kind of being bopped over the head over and over by these influencers. So everybody's just kind of getting tired of it. I think they'll continue to go on, maybe in a different form, but especially in this economic time when most people are struggling to make rent or to buy groceries, it's not always tasteful to go online and see, you know, this really ultra-rich person jet off to Bali and have all these luxuries. It kind of feels not great.
Yeah.
So I feel like there definitely might be a changing tide there.
Yeah.
You know, here's the funny part of this whole conversation. You actually put a TikTok out to promote your novel, and then it goes viral. So like hundreds of thousands of likes, over 6 million views for this book, which is super meta considering like the theme of your novel and influencer culture as well. So what was that like to go viral for your book online about influencer culture?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. So it was on TikTok. It was this trend. Of course, I'm chronically online, so I'm like constantly seeing these trends when they first pop up. And this is a picture of it. Basically, you say, "You're so funny," and then you add like a traumatic sentence or two about your childhood. This kind of describes the twins in my story of how they were separated. One becomes an influencer, the other one has nothing, and then the influencer kind of ignores the twin. And I posted this like at midnight. I went to bed. I woke up, hundreds of thousands of views, and by the end of the day, millions of views. So I was shocked. But like the worst part was like some people started to think that Julie Chan was like a real person, like a real twin. Yeah, and they started to like go, they would Google Julie Chan on TikTok and like go onto these girls' pages that looked like my twin, AKA just Asian. And then, they would start like commenting, like, "Speak to your twin," like, "What's up with your twin?" And like being just annoying to these people. And it really just grew its own legs, like from a stupid photo, it became this whole thing. So it kind of reflects the book's themes in that way. Yeah.
Okay, so this kind of brings us to the idea of book talk, which is like TikTok, not book talk. It's promoting books online. So there's been a lot of division online when it comes to book talk. Some people claim that it only sort of platforms a limited, lesser form of literature, doesn't serve authors well. What do you think about that?
You know, as someone that benefited TikTok and like all that book talk stuff, I definitely understand, because a lot of the times you see the ones that go viral, it's like a lot of romance book, a lot of smutty books that are like easy to digest and pop. And so I understand why there's that conception. At the same time, I think it's kind of opened a gateway to having people buy books and like consume books. Like you might start off with these book talk books, but it might, you know, then turn into something else. Like it might, as long as it encourages people to like look away from their phone and like go to a bookstore and buy a book, I think it's a positive overall.
People are reading. What is people mad about?
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, we want to tell everybody your book has already been ordered for a second reprint before its publication date because the demand is so high. So listen, what are your hopes for this book? That's great.
I know, it's insane to see all of the public reception. I think it is partly because of book talk and it going viral. I think that had to do with it. But it's just insane to see, and I'm so grateful to like Google myself and like see my own self on the internet, and it's not something else. It's just amazing. But I really just hope that readers are able to enjoy the book, to like want to flip another page instead of picking up their phone. Like that would be such a gift for me. So I'm just so excited.
Congratulations, Leanne. You're doing the thing. Congratulations. Let's remind everybody, it is called Julie Chan is Dead. You can buy it in bookstores everywhere now. Clearly, it's going to go like hotcakes. To the lucky members of this studio audience, what do you get reading tonight? You're going home with your copy today. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back right after this. Listen, all you Drag Race fans out there, Canada's Drag Race fans, come on down to the show tomorrow because a drag superstar, Priyanka, will be here telling us about her new Crave series, where she leads a team of experts. What's her name? Priyanka. Oh, no, okay. Team of experts to revive restaurants and put on the ultimate drag brunch. Also on tomorrow's show, if you love race car driving, you just like supporting women, Amber Balkin, she's one of the few female race car drivers out there on the NASCAR circuit.
Yeah, baby.
She's going to be here telling us how she raises $2 million a year just to race. So please join us then. See you tomorrow, everybody. Woo!